Devastating scenes in Gaza last night. Strikes from the sky, gunfire on the ground. Israeli forces say they rescued 2 hostages being held by Hamas. The raid happening in Rafah, the southernmost tip of Gaza. The Palestine Red Crescent Society says more than 100 people were killed in the early morning attack, and alarm is growing over the operation. Rafah is now home to more than 1.4 million Palestinians, many already displaced from elsewhere in the Strip. An Israeli raid in the southern Gaza Strip lasted less than 90 minutes. When it was over, 2 hostages had been safely rescued from a second-floor apartment guarded by Hamas gunmen, and local officials say over 100 Palestinians were killed. A wave of heavy airstrikes launched to cover the rescuers echoed across the border town of Rafah, where 1.4 million Palestinians are seeking shelter from fighting elsewhere.
There is a deep sense of panic and anxiety regarding the prospect of an unfolding military operation also in Rafah. As we all know, the price the civilian population has paid is unspeakable.
International concern is mounting after last night's raid, and there are fears of an imminent Israeli ground assault on Rafah.
We don't believe that it's advisable to go in a major way in Rafah without a proper, executable, effective, and credible plan for the safety of the more than 1 million Palestinians that are taking refuge in Rafah. They've left the north, and they certainly went south out of Khan Yunis to try to get out of the fighting. So Israel has an obligation to make sure that they can protect them.
We are very concerned about what is happening in Rafah, because let's be clear, the people there, many of them have moved 4, 5, 6 times before getting there. And it really, we think, is impossible to see how you can fight a war amongst these people. There's nowhere for them to go.
Where do they go? That is a question I'm asking myself. It's a question that the United Nations is asking. It's what the UNRWA is asking. It's what the Secretary General is asking. And I think it's an issue that every commander and government official in Israel need to ask.
Despite the international concern, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said they are working to evacuate Rafah.
Where are these people supposed to go?
Well, Rafah is a very small percentage of Gaza, and I think it's about 10% or 15%.
I mean, the estimates in
the area north of Gaza that has already been cleared.
Well, there's an estimated 1.4 million people in that area right now, and as the German foreign minister said, they can't just disappear. Where are they supposed to go?
No, well, the areas that we've cleared north of Rafah. Plenty of areas there, but we are working out a detailed plan to do so. Those who say that under no circumstances should we enter Rafah are basically saying, lose the war.
The Palestinian death toll from the war has surpassed 28,000 people, according to the health ministry in Gaza, while the United Nations estimates that a quarter of Gaza's residents are starving. The Israeli military says 2 hostages held in Gaza for 128 days are now free and back in Israel after the overnight operation.
That those hostages are in good and stable condition. Everyone in Israel waking up to the very welcome news that the army, in a daring special forces mission, managed to rescue those 2 hostages from the heart of Rafah.
The 2 men, 60-year-old Fernando Simon Marman and 70-year-old Louis Har, are said to be in good condition and are now in a Tel Aviv medical facility. They were kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th.